All right. Okay. So we are still in supply side policy. You see here every lesson, after every lesson I will put what we have done in the lesson for the day on Google Classroom. So it's more like summary for you guys. So yeah. For example, here on this day, right? We learn about interventionist supply side policies. We mainly focus on different policies that they can use in order to achieve, you know, what they want to achieve, the growth of LRAS. Okay, and that's why look, we need to invest in human capital. We need to invest in technology. Okay, we need to invest in infrastructure, and yeah, it'll be great for government to use some more industrial policies to encourage different businesses to invest. Okay, so for this part here, it's all about investment. Oh, guys, oh, forgot to say this. Cameras on, guys. Yeah, thank you. Okay, yeah. So make sure just go back to Google Classroom from time to time and see what you have learned so far. It's more like a summary or recap for you. All right. Okay. And before the end of the lesson, I asked you guys to draw the diagram to show short run and long run, effect when we are using interventionist supply side policies. I think that was a very good activity because I could see who gets the idea and who does not. All right. So here I'm just gonna use your example to explain it a little bit. Okay, about the diagram. All right. So far I think most of you did great on the diagram. Yep. And just hold on a second. Okay. Well, so here, Ryan, yeah, I think the diagram that you have here is correct. So see, the point here is as long as the curves they are corresponding to each other, then it will be correct. So the reason why I am trying to point out isn't the LRAS 1 is over here, that is because it really depends on your assumption. Okay, it really depends on your assumption. So in your case here, if you ignore the advice that I gave you here, so you are assuming that originally you are situated at this point. Okay, when I look at your diagram, all right, originally you are situated at this point, so you are basically inside the deflationary gap, right? Yeah, I think you guys are pretty familiar with that because of the IA that you have done. Yeah, so if that's the case, then you will see the movement, okay, from here. Yeah, when we draw this diagram, we just have to follow the flow of the policy. Okay, we draw the curves from short run to long run. Okay, don't mess up the steps. If you mess up the steps, then I'm pretty sure okay, when you were adjusting some mistakes that I pointed out from last lesson, because you didn't follow the steps. Okay, which can be easily making the diagram incorrectly. Okay, so you just have to follow the steps of the flow. Okay, so here, so this is the initial point, right? Because AD and you have SRAS 1, right? So that is the most important thing that you should look at in the short run. Okay, so we see how you construct this diagram here. So now, because in the short run, we know that based on all the things that we have learned in this policy, interventionist policy, okay, you see all kinds of investments, and we know that investment is a kind of expenditure that firms they would make. So as a component of GDP. So you will see a shift in your AD, right? So you just have to explain the same when you're writing your essay. Okay, so once again, just step by step from the short run to the long run, then you will see something meaningful, and you will not make any mistake. Okay, so if you're doing this, then you will go from this point here to this point here. Yeah, does it make sense? Okay, hopefully you will get back to your potential output. Okay, so if you are trying to draw your diagram like this, right? And make sure you have the labels with you. Okay, so make sure that you have all the labels. Yeah, I'm not gonna draw it here. Yeah, so yeah, when you're doing your exam, make sure you have the labels. Also, full name for the axis. Okay, so yeah, so that is the short run effect. Okay, all right, and we realize when we are able to encourage businesses to invest more in different things, human capital, infrastructure, technology, etc., etc. So you will see the firms, they will be producing goods and services more effectively, more efficiently. So we will expect the cost is going to get lower when everything is getting more efficient. So like in the long run, you will see the cost of production can be reduced. So because of that, okay, and you will see the SRAS curve will be shifted. Okay, so yeah. So for some of you, you really need to when you're drawing your SRAS curve and also the new LRAS curve, they have to be corresponding. Okay, so yeah, when the curve is shifting, okay, in the long run, so you will see, yeah, this point right now is here because SRAS curve will be shifted based on the investment, all kinds of investment that you have done. So it should be shifting back here. Okay, yeah, here. All right, going from, yeah, so I guess I'm going to name them. So here A, and this one I call that B, and a C. All right, so when you draw the point C, then you'll be able to draw the line of LRAS as well. Okay, because we know LRAS and SRAS, they have to be corresponding when they're moving. Okay, so we know this is the point where you will see your LRAS as well. Okay, so from here, yeah, definitely you will see some characteristics when you're using supply side policy. So yeah, so I wouldn't say this one is wrong, but as long as you are able to explain it step by step. Okay, all right. If you are not explaining it this way here, so I'm just going to use another example. Well, Michelle, this one here, yeah, well, for all your diagrams here in the Jamboard, I have given some feedback, so please take a look of it. Okay, so you see here, look, the SRAS is not moving at all. Okay, so this one is a bit incorrect because when we're using supply side policy, or when we are experiencing a shift in the long run aggregate supply curve, you will see one very specific characteristics, and that is, and that is this. Okay, so you will see, look, from here once again, just another diagram. So here, even though it's a bit different, to the one that Ryan has, but this one, it's just based on different assumption. Okay, so for this diagram here, we are assuming the initial point. Okay, initial point is already in potential output. Okay, so I wouldn't say Brian's diagram is incorrect. It really depends on how you explain it. Okay, so yeah. So if you are trying to move the points, so here in the short run, so we should be moving from point 1 here, or A to point B. All right, and you do the same steps. Okay, and then it moves from point B to point C. Okay, so yeah, the one very specific characteristic that I talk about is here. Okay, if you're able to achieve this, okay, if you're able to achieve long run or long run economic growth, this is the case when LRAS is shifting to the right. You will see there will be a lower lower inflationary pressure. Okay, all right, so this is one of the biggest benefits that you will see from the policies. Okay, so you will see this. Okay, originally in the short run, the price level is going from P1 to P3. Yeah, because you're moving from point A to point B, right? And because everything is getting more efficient, the production and everything, and the technology, okay, you name it, in the long run, yeah, the productions, they are so good. So the cost of production, they are getting lower because you have all kinds of efficiencies. All right, so the price level is getting, is being pulled down a little bit. Okay, so I would say it is the safest to say that there will be a lower inflationary pressure. Okay, how low? It really depends on the range of the changes in your AD curve and also in your SRAS curve. So here, look, we see from the example here, the change of AD, the range, is bigger than the change in SRAS. So at the end, you will see, you know, different results based on when you are playing around with the change in ranges. Okay, yeah. So make sure that when you're playing around with the diagrams, you can try next time. Yeah, you make a bigger range for the SRAS and see what will happen to the result. Okay, all right. But either way, yeah, no matter how you play around with the range of change in both curves, you will still see, okay, this result, lower inflationary pressure. Okay, because things are getting more efficient. Okay, all right, yeah, cool. Yeah, so yeah, this one is pretty good, right? Yeah, and oh yeah, Ian. Yeah, so once again, this is what I'm talking about, right? About how you can correspond the SRAS and LRAS together. Okay, so when it is moving, so you can see this. When it is moving, so this point here, that's the initial point. Yeah, I believe. Okay, right. And when you're moving for in the short run, so I guess yeah, this is where you are going. Okay, and then you will move again because SRAS is moving. So you really have to make sure that every step that you make, okay, you are jumping from the right point to another point. Okay, all right, because right now in this diagram you are really showing that the AD is moving from AD1 to AD2. So after you have moved yourself from AD1 to AD2, you will be situated at AD2. Okay, all right. So from here, yeah, you have to think about what's next. All right, yeah. So yeah. So when you see this, then and afterwards you see SRAS2 is being shifted as well. So there should be some shift here. Okay, so if you realize the key point here, then the next point should be right here. All right, so you're going to draw your LRAS2 here instead of here. Okay, all right. So in summary, your SRAS, your new SRAS, I mean, okay, it is really depending on where the SRAS2 is shifted. Okay, so in this case, when if it's being shifted to here, then you will draw a new SRAS afterwards. Okay, all right, cool. Are you guys all right with that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And here for Rafael, well, I would say I wouldn't say this is completely incorrect. So it depends on where your assumption is. So yeah, okay. So maybe you are here right now. Okay, yeah, you are here right now in yeah. So here in the diagram, you're basically assuming that you are in the inflationary gap in the very beginning, because your original LRAS is here and you are already beyond that. Okay, and in the short run, right, you move yourself from here to here, this point. Okay, and in the long run, yeah, it goes back down from second point to the third point, right? Yeah, it really depends on how you explain, but the points, they have to be corresponding. So that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, all right. Yeah, so the rest are doing pretty good. You see, it really depends on the range in the changes. Okay, if you have like same amount of change for both, then you will see the price level will stay the same. Okay, yeah. So if you have time, just play around with the diagram and you see something different. All right. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Any questions here? Oh, okay. Will we get tested on supply side policies? Yes, 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 yes. Okay, yes. All right. Okay. Yeah. But you know what? Here for interventionist supply side policies, it's very much like some kind of fiscal policy. Okay, because they are all in investment, right? When you are trying to encourage investment, okay, it's just another kind of fiscal policy. All right. So here, yeah, if you are feeling confused about, yeah, so when you are talking about this, should we use it as a fiscal policy or supply side policy? So this is how I see it. Okay. What I would say, look, it really depends on where you are focusing. All right. Yeah. So this is how I visualized how we see interventionist supply side policies, or if you are trying to use those items for fiscal policies. All right. Yeah. So let's say you are here. Okay. You are the government right here, and you are trying to go to another a place. All right. So it really depends on where you are trying to go to. Okay, yeah. So it's whether you are trying to go to the forest or you are trying to go to the building in the opposite side. Okay, all right. But either way, look, when you look at this, when you are going to the forest, so let's say the forest is basically having demand side effects. Okay, when you are walking around in the forest, eventually you may be able to reach the other building right here. So even when you are going to the forest, you might be able to see the other building eventually. Okay, or when you are going towards the building, yeah, you will have to walk across this forest. Okay, so either way, look, you will have the same effect. Okay, all right, yeah. Either you are solely focusing on supply side policies, or you are focusing on the fiscal policies where you will spend money on all kinds of investments. Okay, eventually you will see both demand and supply side effects. Okay, all right. So don't get confused when we talking about interventionist supply side policies, because you will see all demand side effects and also supply side effects possibly. All right. Okay. So this is the case here. All right. I hope this picture here helps. Okay. Yeah. So don't get confused. All right. Okay. Yeah. Using fiscal policy, or I'm talking about specific fiscal policies, like spending money for investments. All right, etc., etc. Or you just have to use another name, interventionist supply side policies. They are the same. Okay, if you keep investing on those areas, eventually you will get the effect from supply side policies. Okay, yeah. So that's the drill. Cool. Okay. Any questions for this one? Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So basically that's all for interventionist supply side policies. Is all about investment. Okay. So the key word here is just investment. All right. Encouragement for investment. Yeah. More accurately. Okay. All right. So as long as the government, they're doing something to encourage investment, that's how we can achieve the objective from supply side policies. Okay. All right. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So make sure from time to time you need to compile your example bank. Even though for some items I have provided examples, yeah, but for some others, yeah, you always need to find yourselves some comfortable examples in case you see that in the exam. All right. Okay. All right. So so that's all for interventionist supply side policy. It's pretty similar to fiscal, some fiscal policies, yeah, that we talk about. All right. So now, let's go to the second part. All right, because from the mind map that I explained the other day, we know that there are two types of market-based supply-side policies. Okay. Well, I mean, two types of supply-side policies. All right, and here is the second part. This is the second kind of supply-side policies that we will discuss. All right. Do you still remember, like, what kind of objectives that we are aiming for? This one here, market-based supply-side policies. So if we are trying, more efficient, So you're trying to, make the market more efficient in order to achieve what we talk about, the objective of supply-side policies. All right. Before, interventionist, it's all about investment. So the quality and quantity of resources, they are being improved. At the end, you achieve the objective. But here, you are not using quality and quantity of resources to achieve that. You are using efficient market to achieve the goal. All right, cool. All right. So so let's well, for this one here, I'm going to make it a bit differently. Okay, so I'm going to use a person to explain the entire policy. Okay, so that way you can use that person as an example for all the items. Okay, so I'm basically giving you all the examples for this market-based supply-side policy. Well, of course, you can use other examples. I don't mind. But here, I have done all the research, so whether you use it or not is your call. All right? Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. So, I'm just going to use UK as the example here. All right. Okay. So let's take a look at some data that I've collected. So here you can see some economics statistics in UK throughout the history. Right? Yeah. So the purple line, unemployment, and the blue line, that is inflation. Okay. So can someone tell me? Oh, well, wait. And also here another piece of data. So you will see the NRU, the natural rate of unemployment in UK, is always around 5 to 6%. Yeah. So this is just a reference for you guys. Okay. It's always around 5 to 6%. So when you look at unemployment rate, you know, like, where is what we call a more optimum level. Okay, because now here we know that is the optimum level should be 5 to 6, so somewhere around here. Okay, right? So it's just a reference for you guys. Okay, but here's one question. Can anyone tell me what happened in here in the OPEC crisis? What happened in the 70s? Because of the OPEC crisis. People, you still remember? Yeah, the oil crisis. Yeah, the oil crisis, and because of that, what happened? Okay, higher oil prices. So what do we call it? Okay, stagflation, right? Okay, so that is the case. We talk about it in the chapter of inflation, right? Okay, it's because of the conflict of between Israel and some Middle East country, and that's why right, this happens. Okay, because the Middle East country, they stop supplying oils to some countries, and the price of oil is being boosted a lot. So you see here, look, because of that event, look at the inflation afterwards in the UK. Yeah, look at this. It spiked from here, like 7% or something, all the way to 22%. Okay, and it keeps, it was very high around that period. Okay, until here, when Thatcher became the prime minister, and suddenly it was so unbelievable. The inflation here, look, dropped all the way from 18 to somewhere around 5. So that is abnormal. So this is where we are trying to focus because this is just amazing. Like, what did Thatcher do in order to achieve these? Okay, so this is what we are going to investigate. And something is very peculiar as well. So after Thatcher became the prime minister, so you see the inflation rate is being reduced so much, but somehow the unemployment rate is being boosted, very quickly, and then it dropped again. So we are going to find the reasons why that is the case. So so really I'm going to focus on this part of the history. Okay. So for any history student, do you have to study this part of the history? Like talking about Margaret Thatcher? I'm just asking. Yeah, if you say yes or no, it doesn't really matter. No? Okay, alright, yeah. So I'm just going to quickly go through this history here. Okay, so the person that we are going to focus on in this part. Alright, Margaret Thatcher. So do you know anything about her? Anything that you can tell us about Margaret Thatcher? No? Yeah, well, I think it's pretty normal if you cannot tell anything about Margaret Thatcher. Well, she stopped trade union or something. Yeah, that's so true. People celebrate when she died. Yes, yeah, and I will show you the video, of course, later on, how people celebrate her death. Well, yeah, imagine that is Carrie. Well, I'm just saying. Look, just don't arrest me, because of that. Okay. Look, yeah. But shut down on union power. Yeah. Okay. So I wouldn't blame you if you are not familiar with this person here. Deregulation, privatization. Yeah, that's so true. Because you were not born in that period, and I wasn't born in that period neither. So I'm just saying that I'm still young. Okay. Yeah. So okay. So you see the period here. Okay. 1990. So she exit the office. Okay. But in China, look, or like some Chinese philosophy, we always have that phrase, like 相由心生. Okay, I think that is very true. When you look at people's face, you know what kind of person that he or she is. So when you look at her face, what kind of personality do you think she has, or what kind of person do you think she is? Like guess. So don't Google it. Okay, what kind of major do you think Margaret Thatcher had? Cool grammar. Okay, yeah, cold like iron. Yeah, I think Raphael, her nickname already. Well, any more ideas from here? Okay, yeah, the Falklands War. Yeah, in Argentina. Okay, yeah. So some people you actually know the history a little bit. Okay, Iron Lady, right? Okay. So, what if I tell you her major was chemistry? So, in order to become a great politician, you need to study chemistry. This is what I'm talking about. So, if you're bad in chemistry, that's it for you. Don't go to the parliament or, anything like that. Well, no, I'm just saying that you don't need to study politics in order to become a great politician. Okay? Even Margaret Thatcher herself, she was a chemistry graduate, okay, in Oxford or Cambridge, I forgot. Yeah, but yeah, she is just one very great woman, okay, and she changed the world a lot, even like fashion. Do you know the trend, the fashion trend in the 80s for women? Do you know it? The fashion trend. Any textile students here before in GCSE? Come on, the fashion trend in the 80s for women. No? Long skirt? Well, we have a term for that actually. Okay? Well, we call that power dressing. Power. You see here? Yeah, strong word. Okay, power dressing is all because of Margaret Thatcher. And that's why, people, they came up with power dressing. So let's take a look at some, photos of power dressing in the 80s. Okay, so here, so I'm just gonna move this window towards. So here, yeah, look at this. Yeah, so this is what we call power dressing. So you see that? You see power? Yeah, that's power. Okay, so yeah, because back in the days, when you talk about in the parliament, I would say 99% of the politicians in there, they were all men, and because of Margaret Thatcher, she kind of promoted the empowerment of women. Okay, and the way that she dressed, yeah, inspired people. So it created a new fashion that time. So you see here, wide shoulder. Okay, just like men training their shoulders and traps, and that's why you can see like power. Okay, here and here. Look at the shoulder pads. Okay, look at that big shoulder pad. Okay, right here. Look, that's power dressing, and you have some very sharp tailoring going on here. So you see here, which shows yeah, once again the empowerment of women. Yeah, so here once again some, yeah, I think, yeah, it looked kind of cool. Okay, and the fashion of '80s is kind of coming back right now. I don't know if you see that, but I think so. Yeah, but well, I would say back then people, they were kind of way more creative than the people right now. So because when you go back here, look, the colors, they have so much colors. Yeah, it's like right now we didn't do much about colors, but before, yeah, they did so much on mixing different colors, and everything feels so refreshing. Okay, etc. etc. So yeah, so part of it, from Margaret, yeah, she changed different things, right? But we are going to focus on you know economics, what she did. Okay, so after knowing Margaret a little bit more, okay, uh, let's take a look of this magazine extract here. So I'm just gonna let you spend 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, on this extract, and you try to answer this question. Like after you have read this piece of article here, what do you think about her ideology based on this information here, and how does it link back to macroeconomics? All right, so I'm just going to give you 2 to 3 minutes, and I'll come back to you. Okay. Any thoughts that you can share with us after reading, you know, this here? Oh, Ian. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, yeah. Laissez-faire. Okay, that's one very powerful term to summarize, her ideology. Any more? Yeah, any more interpretation or ideas based on reading this extract here? Any other ideas? Come on, just feel free to share your thoughts. Yeah, talk about ideology. So when you look at this, like, what kind of person do you think she is? Ah, nothing. Oh yeah, okay. Less government intervention, right? Yeah, yeah. So from here, so you can basically see, what kind of economics that she prefers. Okay, so yeah, when Ian and Cheryl they provided the ideas of laissez-faire and government intervention. So which school of thought do you believe Margaret uh, was more keening towards? So the two Keynesian, neoclassical, yeah, right. Okay, so from there you know this woman here, she preferred monetarist, okay, model. All right, yep. So so now you see when we are talking about market-based supply side policy, it's more towards neoclassical economics. Okay, and yeah, and she was being influenced by some very famous neoclassical economists back then, and that's why maybe she had that preference with her because of that. Okay, yeah, like Milton Friedman, that guy. Yeah, so if you want to find some more information about that person, go ahead. Okay, all right. So yeah, so you see here, look, this is what she believed. Okay, yeah, just like some other politicians, it's not always the government's problem to deal with everything. Okay, all right. So here, I think she has a point. Anyone who agreed with this statement here. So if they have a problem, it is the government's job to cope with it. Anyone who agree with this, or you actually agree with Thatcher, that it shouldn't be the problem of the government. It should be the problem of the people. So yeah, what do you think? So what is your point of view? Do you agree with this or you don't? So what I'm asking is, do you prefer more government control, or do you prefer, this is the way, this is how we should live in a society? Okay, depending on whether it's that is a structural problem. Well, yeah, that's true. Okay, right. Yeah, it really depends on how the society is being structured, and maybe in different situations we might have different point of view. Okay, but yeah, so over reliance on the safety net is pretty bad. Okay, all right, yeah, that's also very true. Okay, yeah. So yeah, we cannot always rely on government. That's what some people they believe, and of course, there are some other people they always believe government management is the best way. Okay, to achieve optimal result. Okay, so those people, you would put them on the left, right? Okay, all right, yeah, that's why you have like left wing and right wing, but you simply put it together. When you talk about left wing and right wing, to differentiate those two is very simple. For the left, they believe in things should be from the top to the bottom, so that's kind of yeah represents the left wing. Okay, so they believe government intervention management, that's the most important to the society in order to achieve prosperity, higher living standard, blah 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 blah. Okay, but for the right wing, okay, they believe things should be from the bottom to the top. Okay, it should be from the people, and if the people they are doing fine, they create a better society. Okay, so that's what the right wing they believe in. Okay, all right, yeah. So that's just a little bit of politics here. Okay, but yeah, so here you will see. All right, so she believed, people, they should take care of themselves instead of asking the government for, everything. Okay. Well, I don't know if you know some of the quotes from JFK, the former president of the United States of America. Well, he said this before. He said, "Ask not what the country can do for you. Ask what you can do for the country." So basically, yeah, I would say they have a very similar idea on this one, and even for Trump. Yeah. There's one quote from Trump. I forgot when, but he said, "And now we are giving back the the power back to the people." Yeah, so something like this. So I think they have, yeah. Right, yeah. So yeah, Trump is kind of contradicted to himself. So yeah, for some people, when they are speaking, yeah, they if they are lying or if they are talking, what they really want to say. Okay, yeah. So you can really see that from how they talk, their ideology, yeah, etc. Okay, but yeah, so that's the way that we see for those politicians. Okay, so they prefer less intervention. Okay, all right, yeah. So this is one very interesting story from her. Okay, so now we know more backgrounds about Margaret Thatcher. So we can really take a look of the summary of the market-based supply-side policies. Okay, so yeah, in the syllabus we will only focus on 3 areas when we talk about supply-side policies. Okay, all right. So yeah, first of all, now yeah, you all know this already. Okay, trying to make the market more efficient in order to achieve the objectives of supply-side policies. Okay, but how do we do it? So there are 3 areas that we should focus on. Okay, so as long as we are able to encourage competition, well, some of you told me already. Okay, and then for the second one, labor market reforms. Well, somehow you have learned that already. Okay, and we went through this already. Yeah, and well, let's go back to wait a second. Where is it? Oh, here. Okay, right here. That's labor market reform, right? If you still remember something from GCSE, labor market reform, we're trying to reduce the benefits, the power of the labor, okay, in order to make it more, the market more efficient. So basically, the things that we discussed, the things that I explained right here, that is a kind of labor market reform. So this one here is labor market reform, and that is part of market-based supply-side policy. Okay, we're trying to make the market more efficient. So when you go back to this diagram here, when we cancel those policies, right? Yeah, the wage, okay, is going back to the market price, right? So it creates more supply. Yeah, it creates more supply. So that's the point. Okay, so now we know what that is. So I'm just going to wipe this off. All right, cool. Okay, right, and you have like incentive related policies. So this time we are talking about like general incentive policies. Okay, not industrial policies. Industrial policies, once again, is focusing on particular industries, but here is the policies, they are focusing on everyone. Okay, like reducing income tax, reducing profit tax, reducing VAT, all right, they are for people in general. Okay, all right, so here we focus on the policies, the incentive policies in general. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you a video here, and based on the video, can you help me to identify some policy mentioned in the video into different categories? that we'll have to learn for market-based supply-side policies. Okay, so here I'm going to copy and paste. Okay, so yeah, take your time and watch the video.
When Margaret Thatcher was elected Britain's
Okay, all right. So, after watching the video, what can you tell us, about the policies that she has promoted to encourage, different categories here? So, talking about policies to encourage competition, what did she do? Yeah, based on the video. Well, deregulation on what? So I want to hear something more specific. Yeah, based on what the video mentioned. Okay, the banks. Okay, all right. Yeah, the banks for sure. Yeah, in the video they talk about, so now they deregulate. Okay, deregulated the rules so that different international banks they could just come to UK and do investment. So in order to encourage competition, so that's one. Okay, that's good. And the privatization for some industries. For example, did you hear any examples? Okay, yeah, oil, gas, yeah, yes, airways, yeah, airways, yeah, British Airways, right? More than that, okay. But in the video they only show you 2 examples. Well, I'm going to show you more. All right. So yeah, so that's very good. Okay, yeah, good. What about labor market reforms? What did she do in the video? Talk about labor market reform. So how did she reduce the power of labor or labor related institution? Okay, crushed trade union using riot police to put down their protests. Okay, what trade union? Did you hear what trade union? What kind of industry? Yeah, coal mining, right? Coal mining. All right, and we will talk about that story when we get to this part in detail. All right, yeah. So reducing the power of trade union in coal mining industry. Yeah. So that is a very good point to summarize what she did. Okay, the sunset industry. So now you get the idea for coal mining industry in the UK back in the 80s. They were basically sunset industry. Okay, back then, and in order to make it more efficient, in order to make the market more efficient, Thatcher had to do this. Okay, all right. So what about some incentive-related policies? Did you hear any incentive-related policies from the video? Any incentive policies? I think they do have like one incentive policy mentioned in the video. Anyone? Okay, yeah, thank you, Ray. Yeah. So yeah, basically reducing, like cutting taxes in general. Yeah. So this is what Margaret did. Okay, back then, right? Of course, there are more details about the policies, and we will, talk about the details later. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm going to finish it here. All right, yeah. So hopefully this very real example can help you writing the essay. And so when last but not least, when we now know the background of Margaret, so when we look back to the statistics here, okay, yeah. So seems like Margaret didn't really concern too much about unemployment. So can you now tell me the reason why Margaret didn't really concern about the unemployment, and instead she focused so much on inflation. So you see, inflation is being reduced so quickly after what she did. So like, yeah, what kind of rationale can you tell us here? Like, why Margaret, would prefer, tackling the inflation, rather than tackling the unemployment here? Any thoughts? Okay, yeah, thank you, Ian. Right. So yeah, because of the school of thought that she had, neoclassical economics, right? We know that in the long run, eventually, the economy will go back to the potential output, and if it's that case, then your unemployment will go back to natural unemployment. Okay, so yeah, so she's just one another neoclassical economist. So rather dealing with unemployment, she would prefer dealing with inflation, because we know that from the point of view of neoclassical economists, in the long run, yeah, that potential output is always fixed, regardless of any price level that the economy will have. All right, so that's why you can see why this is the case. Okay, so you can actually explain the statistics using different data and also theories, right? So you get that, you get that point right here. All right, yeah. So yeah, okay. I think that's all for today. And yeah, I don't think I'm gonna give you homework, right, for this week. So maybe I'll give you homework next week. Okay, all right, yeah. So yeah, I think that's it for today, and you are good to go. Yeah, before you go, any questions? Once again, if you have any questions, just ask. I guess no. All right, yeah. So bye bye. 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 Okay. All right.